y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Six Figure Vet podcast, where we showcase success stories of Black and Brown veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Six Figure Vet podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Now, today, I've got someone special coming to the mic, Mr. Tavares Taylor. He's the founder and CEO of The Black Vet, an apparel brand that's all about celebrating the service, achievements, and legacies of Black veterans. And y'all know that is our cup of tea over here at Six Figure Vet brand, baby. But listen, Tavares isn't just about business. He's also about impact. With 15 years in the Virginia Air National Guard and another 5 as a federal employee, he's worked everywhere from the White House to Capitol Hill. He's used his military career to secure a bachelor's in information systems and a master's in information security, because let's be real, education is another form of power. But at the core of it all, service. The forward progression of Black people, especially our Black vets, let's get into it, has always been his mission. And today we're diving into his journey, his brand, and what it means to build something bigger than yourself. Let's give a warm six-figure Black welcome to Tavares Taylor. Welcome, Tavares.
Thank you so much, man. That intro, that's amazing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, when you read that, it's kind of crazy because we like to, we're veterans, so we know when to leave, but we know when to follow too. So sometimes just hearing that, it's just it's real cool. So wow.
Yes. I always try to put like a little extra, like to let y'all know, because I feel like, especially as Black successful veterans, or just as Black people in general, we do so many amazing things, but we're always in hustle mode. We're all on go, so we don't have time to really sit and bask in our accomplishments. So I'm like, you gonna sit here and you gonna listen to yourself today.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Jailyn. And I want to say before we even get started, congratulations on 1 year of the Six Figure Vet podcast. Amazing. Congratulations. So much love and success. Continue blessings to you and everything that you do. We're going to try to do everything that we can at the Black Vet to help get you to where you want to get to as well. So
same. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, especially in this climate. It's about building each other up. Like, it's the crowds in the bucket mentality. It is just so over and played out. It is all about using the resources that you have to help people that look like you, so that you both can grow higher and just climb new heights. And I'm excited for the both of us. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, King said it best in his last book. It was chaos or community.
Chaos or community.
You got to pick community.
Literally, we're in the times where it's no gray.
Absolutely.
There's no gray in it. It's like, pick a side.
Yep, it's chaos or community.
Those are only two options.
Absolutely.
Yes, every time. So I always like to start off every episode with doing a mental health check. I always like to start off every episode with doing a mental health check-in with every veteran, because especially right now in this climate. Like, so how are you doing for real?
If I'm completely honest, let's see. So I feel like I'm at war again.
Talk about it. Why do you feel like that?
So like, I get up in the morning, I'm working out, I'm eating good, like my head is on a swivel, because I'm anticipating the next move. And I'm trying to read. So I'm going back and reading like Dr. Amos Wilson. I'm reading John Henry Clark. I'm reading all of these master theologians and scholars to find out what they did, and then kind of see and anticipate what's going on and what's happening. So it's kind of like I'm at war, so I'm on edge a lot. So I really appreciate you asking, because it's been a very, very weird space. And the only way that I can really put it is, it's like I'm being deployed again, and I have to, I know that I'm here, but I also have to look around as well to find out what else is going on. Yeah, because we're in a different place right now. We're in a very different place, and there's good to it as well, because I think it pushed us into a space where we have to pick a side, and we have to do now. We can't just kind of just expect something or someone else to kind of do it for us. Like they put the ball in our court. And so now it's
Pretty
like
much.
what Jill Madison used to say, what are you going to do about it? And in order to us to really strategize and redo things, we have history on our side. We need to go back into that history, see what worked, see what didn't work, and then execute to what we have to do. And it's the same thing that we do when we in uniform. Like we have to know our enemy. We have to know what they did, what they used, and we have to figure out our ways to strategize so we can take over and do what we need to do. And so we use that same philosophy, unfortunately, in, this space of America where we are right now. So, but yeah, I really appreciate that question. It's crazy because I really think that I'm back deployed somewhere.
And that's so scary to think about. And you know what? And I think the scariest part about that, fortunately, but unfortunately, you have been in a setting where you know what that feels like, you know what that looks like. Triggers aren't always a bad thing because it reminds you of a space that's not safe so you can prepare.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But we have people that ain't never been in this situation before. It's totally unfamiliar. So they don't even know how to respond to this.
Absolutely.
We are lucky because we have been in this position before by either being, in combat, being deployed. I did 3 deployments. So, or being just in environments within the federal government where it is microaggressions, where there is oppression, where there is discrimination. So we know how to navigate these spaces, which most Black people do know how to navigate these spaces, because when you're born Black, you kind of just fall into it, right? But Black veterans and service members kind of have this kind of, I hate to call it like an upper hand, because we know how to prepare due to the things that we've experienced in service, but there's a lot of people in America that don't have that advantage, that are out here completely lost on what to do, what is going on, or how to even plan for their next move within this administration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we are in a really tough place, but we have examples and we have history on our side.
Yes.
Like moving it back to the Black vet, one of the cores and advantages of why I even came up with the brand is because of our rich legacy. Like
Mm-hmm.
the first person to ever take a bullet for this country was a Black man, Crispus Attucks.
Mm.
So, like during the Revolutionary War, he was the first person. And so now you take that and then you move to the next major conflict, which is the Civil War. And you have Harriet Tubman, who was a spy. Like, shout out to Governor Westmore, who just, posthumously, commissioned her brigadier general because of what she did, not only with the Underground Railroad, but to help the Union soldiers as a spy. And then you transform that and you take that into the next major step of World War One, and you have the Harlem Hellfighters who, they didn't give up an inch of ground, and they spent the longest time in the trenches in Europe than any other command or any other command in that time. And then you take it to the 688 in World War Two, and then you take it to the Tuskegee Airmen, and then you take it to me and you to where we are now. These are the shoulders that we stand on. Like it's more
Exactly.
than just us we swear to defend the Constitution, that like our history is so rich of Black veterans that have done amazing things in this country. And for us to have this two-sided America where when we put on a uniform, it's thank you for your service and they clapping in the airport and people running up to you. But when I take stuff off, I'm being followed at the grocery store or in a
Yeah.
store or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that is the crux of why we came up with the Black vet. We know what it's like to feel that pride, that
Very much so.
nationalism, but we also recognize that our history and our heritage is long, and we want to make sure that we celebrate that each and every day. That's why we call it it's Veterans Day every day, because we're
Every
not gonna
day.
forget what Harriet Tubman did. We're not gonna forget what the 688 did. We're not gonna forget what the Tuskegee Airmen did. We're not
Right.
gonna forget what Crispus Attucks did. We're not gonna forget what you did. We're not gonna forget what I did because we're
Right.
still making history. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a weird place right now.
It is a weird place. And I don't even think Black veterans realize how deep our history goes. And you said something there. You said, when we take off this uniform, inside of the uniform, when we're in public, when we're outside, and we might be in our dress uniforms or we might be in our working uniforms, we're respected. It's like, oh, you fight for our country. Thank you so much for your service. But as soon as we take it off, that respect is stripped from us. And controversially, right, I've been watching, I follow all of like the Air Force pages and the Navy pages and the Army and the Department of Veterans Affairs. And they have been like passive aggressively, well, not aggressively, just passively making posts throughout Black History Month without including, they'll make a post about, Black veterans, but won't say anything about Black veterans in the captions. Just like, oh, America's always been great, or America's this, or, the history of the military runs deep. And I've been commenting like, say Black.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say Black, because it was the Black, like, say what you need to say. Don't, like, the climate, don't take that away from us. Don't take away all the things that we did, all the things that we sacrificed, especially this month. Like 11 other months.
Yeah, right.
You want to take away, you want to silence the Black in your celebration for us, which is really demeaning almost.
Absolutely. Because you wouldn't have aircraft carriers if you didn't have a Black.
You wouldn't.
Like, you wouldn't have. It's so many different, like, I don't know. I think the way to combat it for me is we have to tell our own story. And so, it's up to us to do what we have to do for us. And we can no longer wait or caveat. We just have to use the benefits and use the mechanisms and the platform that they're able to do, that we're able to achieve through their means. But we have to now tell our stories even more. We have to, and it's a great space now because we have film directors and we have studios and we have, AI, and we have all of these different platforms and software that we can actually now go back and we can tell the story of someone that created something and that story has never been told now. And we do it on our dime. And I think that's the thing that scares them the most. That's the thing that scares them the most. Even like, so when I look at Christmas time, like my wife and the kids, they love Christmas movies. And I look at the number of Black Christmas movies that there are now. And I look at it and I'm like, compared to when I was a kid, you had like one person in a movie.
Not a whole cast.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I'm looking at all of these Black movies and I just love it because it shows that these studios that we have, it shows that these production companies, these actors and actresses, like, we're doing our own thing. And that scared the crap out of it. Scared the crap out of it. And that's what we got to continue to do. And we can't be afraid to do it.
But yes, it is a lot different from, and I'm a millennial, so I'm like mid-millennial. So I grew up in the 90s. Like, I was born early 90s. I ain't telling you when, but I was born in the early 90s, you know what I'm saying? So I remember all these things. And I was telling one of my friends the other day, like, the playing field had almost got a little too even. It even by a long shot, right? It wasn't even by a long shot, but the playing field had almost got, like, y'all learning how to use what? Grant? Y'all learning about federal funding and all this and government contracting and
absolutely.
And now y'all getting these major corporations to talk about DEI to where, and now y'all really figuring out how to use, like, wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. And I saw this, it was this interview with, he was a CEO, a major CEO, and he was like, why would Black people love Black people and Black people want Black people to succeed? And this was a white guy saying this, and he was like, why would I not want the same thing for my race? So if I'm in a position to make sure that my race stays ahead, why would I not?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You saw that?
Absolutely.
It was mind-blowing.
As he's eating in a minority-owned restaurant.
Talking to a minority.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that they don't like us to progress. They don't
Oh.
want the forward progression of Black people in any street. I think it was LBJ who said, if you can tell the lowest white man that he's better than the best Black man, you can rob his pocket and you can still suppress that Black man.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that strategy is still here today.
it is.
Like I said, we have to resist. We have to create our own spaces. We have to do it. Like people talk about, and I get it. Like I get the ramifications. But when we look at Rosewood, and we talk about Black Wall Street, and we talk about Durham, North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, and we talk about Jackson Ward and Richmond, Virginia, and we talk about
Mm-hmm.
all of these other Black cities that were thriving, where they had airports and movie theaters and doctor's
Tulsa.
offices and all of these different things.
Yes.
And we talk about, yeah, but they're going to burn it down. Yo, at the end of the day, if that's the history, and here we are today, and we know that their MO is to burn it down, so that's when we come in. You
Yeah.
have throngs of Black veterans now that can be your defense ministry,
Yeah.
where we can actually establish our own types of defense and security to secure those particular neighborhoods. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we still have to build them up, and we can't be afraid and live off of, well, they just gonna shoot it down. They just gonna burn it down. That makes you not want to do anything.
Yeah.
Everything has a hope base to it, and your hope is already diminished because in the back of your mind, because they did all of those other things to those little countries, to those little cities, now we need to not do it. No, absolutely not. Go for conquer, build, create, do what it is that we need to do, and then secure that mug.
Yeah.
Secure it so that nobody takes it away from it.
Yeah. And I think that was probably the missing link in all of those cities, that they weren't secure. Right? It was just like, okay, if y'all don't want us, we'll just create it for ourselves, and then maybe they'll just leave us alone. But that's the thing about oppression. Like systematic oppression. It's not that they don't want you in, they don't want you to succeed at all.
Absolutely.
It's not that they don't want you to come into their home. They don't want you to have a home.
Absolutely.
Or they want you to only work in theirs for nothing. Taking that strategy and applying it, like, okay, we'll build our own, but we need to figure out a way to protect it. I think that is the missing link that has been the unfortunate demise of a lot of Black success. Is strategically securing it.
Or we can take the strategy of Marcus Garvey and just leave. Like the world, we military, so we've seen the world.
It's so big.
And it is huge. And I remember being in Toledo, Iraq, and it was like agriculture. It was a dude with like 4 sheep, and he was just walking around, and I'm not going to say that it was, the best thing, but like they treat us as American. First of all, for being Black and outside of America, you are American. You're not.
Black.
You're American.
You're just
like that is the thing. People say, well, it's racism everywhere. It's different. You are American. We just got back from Dubai. You are my American friend.
Yes.
And so what we have to do is we just have to maybe take Marcus Garvey's strategy and find a place and just say whatever. At the end of the day, we don't know how this experiment here in America is going to play out. And so, maybe we do need some visionaries that travel abroad, secure places abroad, and that becomes the new hope. The new hope may not be
here,
us fighting here. It may be starting something somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I think that we have to get past all of the mental blocks of it's a new place, or I saw a documentary where it was a family. They had just moved to Costa Rica, and a young lady, she had cancer, and I think the husband had just lost the job. They ended up moving to Costa Rica after he lost the job. They just left, and they moved. She was in remission for cancer. She wasn't supposed to have children. She was able to have 2 children as she's been there. The air is cleaner. Her lifestyle is a lot more. food is better. Like her life changed. Sometimes being in this climate of having to pay rent, having to pay mortgage, having to pay car note, having to pay all of these things, and then only having $45 left at the end of the week to last you until the next time you get a check is stress enough. Plus, we have people passing away around us. Plus, we have other stresses that we have. Maybe it is easier and less toxic to sometimes.
So
And I think that there is honor in that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's another strategy. And I think at this crux of where we are, we have to look at every strategy.
every strategy. And I don't think it is as far fetched as an idea as a lot of Black Americans may think that it is, to just leave and go. Well, I don't even want to say Black Americans, African Americans, because you have people from Nigeria, people from Jamaica, people from Trinidad, people from St. Lucia. You have people that have relocated here and started over, so they know that it's possible. I think it's just a mind frame of the African American that, leaving and starting somewhere new, especially another country, is far fetched. But I appreciate countries like Ghana that have put forth initiatives to welcome us back home, to basically let us know that it is possible, and that there are places that will welcome us, that we won't have to face the things that we face here. So you're absolutely correct. I just wish that more African Americans would take those type of strategies more seriously. Or I don't even know if they don't take them seriously, that they would just realize that they are possible and feasible.
Right.
It's a thing. Like, people do it every day. They move to other countries where they feel like, look, Hispanics, like they're literally leaving no matter how they have to get here, whether it's on boats or they're smuggling themselves in across the board. Like, they're coming for a new life with hopes. So
Absolutely.
I feel like it's African Americans that just have this mind frame that it's not possible, when it is very much possible. And we see it within other ethnic groups that it is.
I think it's convenience. I think
That
it's
too.
convenience. We are used to convenience. And I think that convenience can be argued to say that we're in this situation because of convenience. I mean, there was the Voting Rights Act that, was gutted. There was another act the Civil Rights Act was gutted. And I mean, I wish we could have had more support
Yeah.
than we did for TikTok.
Yeah.
But but I mean, that's just something that, that's on us. That's on us for, dropping the ball. And, we can't allow ourselves to get so distracted and drop the ball on these important issues that
Yes.
really affect us. Because at the end of the day, these folks, they are strategic in what they do. They
Hmm.
know that what they do. When I look at land grant universities right now, there's a land grant university in Tennessee that they've been trying to get the land grant for a long time. And now this could be a possibility where this university is now going back to the hands of who wanted it in the first place. Like, they don't forget. That's another, like, they don't want you to forget.
Memory of
They want you to
elephants.
forget. Correct. And that's why it's important for us to understand our history. We have to understand where we go. And those scholars of John Henry Clark and Dr. Amos Wilson and the others that are out there that have passed the mantles down to Dr. Greg Carr, at Howard, who sits there
Yeah.
at Howard. Um, you know, we have to tap into those types of minds. And like I said, find the answers, because it's new, but it's not necessarily new. There are clips that you can play of King or Malcolm or anyone, and you can play it today and it resonates to this very moment. So we have to, again, look at those nuggets and those blueprints that have already been forged and figure out a way to strategize in order to, or implement those blueprints and then make them better. But here again, it's going to take work, and it's going to take organization, and it's going to take a lot of us to really push back what we want and ideal for the community,
Yeah.
chaos or community. Not Tavares, what Tavares want. I want community, because I know
Right.
that community is going to always resist anything that's opposite of it. I know that if I can't make milk, but I know a Black farmer that has the capabilities to do so and grow food, now we're good. I
Yep.
know that if we have a blacksmith and that blacksmith is Black, that we can in turn form some sort of union. And now we have not only artillery and defense, but we also have food. And we have to build those networks. You have an amazing platform that reaches a ton of folks out here that we can actually get messages across. Like those are things that people need in their networks in order to make sure that we have community. Community is always going to be chaos, always. And now more than ever, do we need community?
Exactly. Exactly. And not being afraid to rely on that community and get out of this like individualized state of mind. Like,
Absolutely.
oh, if it doesn't affect my household, if it doesn't affect my child, my husband, my wife, my mother, my father, then it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. It has
Absolutely.
everything to do with you
Absolutely.
because it might not be you today, but I think what happened January 20th, I think that was the fastest I've ever felt a negative effect come from the White House. It
Absolutely.
was almost immediate.
Yep.
It was almost immediate. Right here in my home, I felt it. And I think we also need to get out of like, okay, we understand that it happened. We're there. So what's the next thing? We can sit here, we can wallow, we can complain about what's going on. We can acknowledge that he's here. We can acknowledge all the craziness that's happening. Okay, but now we're in this mess. How do we defend ourselves? How do we fight back? What is the next step? I think we spend a lot of time focusing on, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Right? Okay, you did. So what's next? Where we
Pointing
go
the
from
finger.
here?
Point,
Right.
pointing the finger. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we do. We do a lot of pointing the finger and I told you so, but it's not about that act.
No.
People talk about standing 10 toes down, and there are a lot of people that are standing 10 toes down that are not getting the recognition that they need and deserve. But there are a lot of people that are not, and a lot of people that are pointing the fingers. And I think that this time is the time that it's going to kind of reflect that. And I mean, it's no different than King and Malcolm when they were, doing civil rights and Barrett Rustin and those guys. What happened was, what they said, 10% of the community was actually engaged in civil rights and actually
Mhm.
moving forward. And 90% was, I think his approval rating was extremely low. So, I mean, we have the same premise here. We just need those
Yeah.
3% that are
To
willing to
push
actually
hard.
go out and work and do things to continue to move the needle forward. And I think that as long as service is our mantra, then we can kind of get those things done. But if we're not, and we are based off of the head of said organization, then whatever the head of said organization wants, or that's the vision, and that's typically what we're going to get. And we have
Yeah.
to cut those things off, and we have to create strategies that are not just for the head, but for everybody. And if they're
Exactly.
not for everyone, then we have to challenge ourselves. And that goes for organizations. That goes for, I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Like that goes for, fraternities and sororities.
Mhm.
That goes for churches. If your pastor ain't talking about moving Black people forward in this type of climate, then you might need to take a step back. That's not and it's not a shot at God. That is,
It's not.
we need to literally take account of all of the things and the organizations that we have. And we
Yes.
need to really seriously ask ourselves, are they for us? How are they for us? And how are they moving us forward?
Tavares, let me ask you this. Why do you feel, because I was having a discussion with somebody, and a lot of the initiatives, a lot of the things that were happening during the civil rights movement, the Black church was deeply involved, deeply involved. Why do you think that the Black church is no longer involved with political issues or the things that are directly affecting Black people today? Because there's definitely a decrease and it is noticeable. So where do you think that came from? Why do you think that is a thing now that we don't see as many Black churches being on the forefronts of activism, especially for Black people.
So the message changed. So the message changed. I can remember my grandma growing up, my grandmother. My grandma always told me about community and service. Those two
Mm-hmm.
things. And then my dad was like, my dad's a preacher. He's an elder as well. And he talked about service so much so that he cut the grass. We drove the van. We did all of the menial jobs that people would look at. And like he did those, like willingly. And so like that kind of sunk with me. And so the message changed. There was community at church. Like it was about making sure that somebody got a plate when we had a fish fry. It was about, making sure that this person was taken care of, making sure it was everybody kind of taking care of each other.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore. It's about prosperity.
Yeah.
No, not to prosperity preachers. There's a lot of them out there that are doing some
Not go.
amazing things. Prosperity is not going to be the end all be all. It's an individualized theology.
It
And once
is.
that theology took over, I think that caused the shift. And the way that I can equate that, the best example is when you have the Native Americans who you have one tribe here that's knocked off, 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 one tribe here that's like you don't have anything as opposed to us coming together, having that collective fit.
Yes.
That was the message. That was the difference. We had a collective. It was a collective. It was
Yeah.
making sure that everybody was good. It was making sure that if you didn't have a birthday party, you could have it at the church because the church is here. And everybody in the church was what? Like your family. I remember being in so many people's weddings when I was coming up because I was the ring bearer at somebody's
At
wedding.
the
They
church,
wanted me to be a
right?
ring bearer. So like that whole family aspect, that collective, like it was, and it wasn't just my church. It was like other churches would
Mm-hmm.
come and they would flock. And you don't necessarily have or see a lot of that anymore. It's like I said, God is going to bless you with a new car. God is going to bless you with a new job. Well, let's just be honest. Like, how many jobs have we really had that we enjoy getting when we got that offer letter and 6 months later, we like, man, I don't want to go to work.
Can't
Man, I
stand it
can't
here.
wait till I get another job. Like, like, I guess that has a lot of stuff to do with being grateful and appreciative, but the mindset is just very different. We have to get back to a collective mindset and
Yeah.
not of a tangible prosperity that we're supposed to be. No, food, like waking up every morning is the biggest blessing that you can have.
Yes.
That is the greatest blessing that you can have because that's another opportunity for you to seize the day and to seize the moment. And God has given us that.
Yes.
Like that is prosperous. That is prosperity. Health.
We have prosperity preaching, and I know you said you wasn't knock them. I knock them because it's making Black people fall in love with God's hand. What can you give me if I'm
Making
going
them
to
making
making
them
a,
making them a genie. Making
a
them yeah,
genie?
something.
You're turning my God into a genie.
Yeah.
And I can go to you and get whatever I wish when I pray or if I worship you. Or if I do this, then you need. I hate prosperity preaching. I despise it. And so does the word of God. So does the word of God. So I'm against it, but that's a whole nother tangent. We'll be here for another 2 hours if we can talk about prosperity preaching because I don't like them.
So one of the places I want to go around the world, like I tell my friends and family all the time, is I want to go to Ethiopia and I want to go to
Yes.
Egypt because I want to understand how, because if, people who really study religion, they don't just look at it as being with the Greeks and the Romans. You
Yeah.
actually go further back. And when you go
Yeah.
further back, you'll understand that there was a group of folk, group of people. I can't think of their names right now, but in that Ethiopia, Somalia, Egyptian um, 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 environment, eh, they actually had an original Bible that
Mm-hmm.
was like, I want to say 166 books, and they had pictures of black angels and black deity, and I want to see for myself.
Yeah.
I want to embrace that because, like, I don't want to necessarily go off of the fact that, everything started with the Romans and the Greeks because they
It
stole
didn't.
everything. So let's go back to the true and living God. And that's why, I believe that there is God. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that we celebrate it now, or the way that it's celebrated by most people now, I don't do that. The first thing I do is like, I love gratitude. And I think I'm
Yeah.
just grateful just to be in a space to wake up every single day, to
Yes.
be able to have health and be able to have my my blood running through my veins, and to be able to be an impact positively for people that are around. Like that to me is, I think, the essence of being a Christian. I ain't gonna say I ain't the best person. Don't cross me, because I'm gonna
Right.
turn into something else. But like that's the essence of, like, I think we make things harder than they really are
Yeah.
sometimes. And sometimes we just need to accept that God is personal in our life by just simple things, by him showing up by waking up in.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't
Yeah.
I think but the prosperity, I think that's where we went wrong. It's not
Definitely.
individualized, and it's based off of the head of said organization. And if it's based off a head of their organization, whatever their ideas, whatever their goals are, that's what's going to be fulfilled first, as opposed to everybody else in the church. And we
Most
have to get
definitely.
back to a spirit of community. And we have to get back to a spirit of, just collectives. We have to be
Yes.
that collective.
Yes. Most definitely. Usually I do this at the beginning of the podcast, but things change in Texas chat, okay? What made you join the National Guard out of all the branches?
Yeah. So I was originally going to go in the Navy, but my mom and dad was like, you ain't going in the Navy. You're going to college. And I was like, really? And so I was like, but I can do nuclear and I can be an engineer and you don't have to pay for school. It wasn't to say that they couldn't pay for school. I just didn't want them to have to pay for it. And,
Yes.
that was like my mindset. And it's like, no, you go to school. And I was like, all right, cool. So I ended up going to school. And when I went to school, like, I did everything but go to school. And so it was like my grades was like trash. And so I was like, well, my mom and dad is like, they not gonna pay for this. And so I was like, okay, well, I gotta find somewhere and somebody to pay for. And so I remember going to, it was a friend of mine that I was dating. It was an ex-girlfriend. And her father was an officer in the Air National Guard. He talked to me about going in the Guard and all the things that you could do in the Guard. And I looked at his life and I looked at, the things that he was able to do, and it just
Yeah.
resonated with me. And so through that, I went to the recruiter. And Sergeant Meredith, he told me, he said, it's a means to an end. And I don't know why that continues to stick in my mind, but it continues to stick in my mind. Shout out to Sergeant Meredith right now. I joined the Air National Guard, and it was the best choice I think I've ever joined, ever. Like, it's the best thing I've ever done. And the
Yeah.
reason being, for me, I grew up in the Guard. I had people around me that talked to me about money, and I'm talking Black men and women who talked to me about money and finance and making sure that my career and going after money to get tuition for college. And just like, it set me up, because in college, I wasn't focused on those things. I was
Yeah.
literally focused on being a captain. that that's literally, I was focused on finding my wife and being a captain.
Did you find her? You would think you didn't even because you had it.
I found her when I went back. I found her when I went back.
Okay.
But yeah, I was focused on the wrong thing. And when I, was focused on, like, I was focused on the things that needed to be right, I literally, like, it grew me up. And from there, I was able to also learn my worth of being a Black man, because I experienced some racism while I was in the unit. And so at the time I was working at the White House and I was doing desktop support. I'm an IT guy. I was doing desktop support, and I was trying to move, because back in the day they didn't have cyber, they had information management. And I was trying to move out of the current job that I had. And I was trying to bribe the officers would sign pictures of the president, which was President Bush at the time. And they were like, nope. And I was like, okay, so I'm working at the White House and y'all can't get me. And I gave y'all autographed pictures of the president and y'all can't get me and move me into this position. And I was like, deuces. And I just left the Guard. So after like 7 years, I left and then I just, became a civilian and worked and did all of these amazing things for, government and contracting. And then I would meet all of these people and these people were still like going to work and then they were still serving.
Yeah.
Or they would serve and they had already served their 20 years and now they're government officials and they getting a check here, they getting a check here, and they getting a check here. And I said, wait a minute.
What I done did.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, let me go back in and let me finish this. And so I went in and I got accepted. And then I had medically discharged, so I had to leave out at the 15th. But I was able to go back in and, finish the remainder of what I was able to do. But the military, I'm not going to lie, like it was one of the best things that ever happened for me. It got me security clearance, paid for college. I was able to see the world. And a lot of the opportunities that I think that I have been afforded has been being able to brief early on, being able to have people skills, being able to know where to go to get things done. Like all of those things are attributes I really give credence to being in the military for that. So it really shaped me to who I am. Service was always the foundation. It continued and then it continues to this day. But yeah, so I needed some money. That's why I needed to go back in.
Listen, all that stuff sounds good, but I needed the money.
Absolutely.
And that's smart. I always tell people, I think I say this maybe every other episode, but if you don't have a plan, if you ain't got no plan, you ain't got no direction, you just kind of out here floating, join the military.
Absolutely.
You can join the Guard, you can join the Navy, you can join the Marines, Air Force, and they are in need of people. People are getting out. Retention rate is plummeting. Okay.
Absolutely.
They are accepted. I think the age requirement now
they're raising them.
It's like for one of the branches, I'm not sure which one, but I think it's like 40.
Yeah, I think Air Force, I think it was 31, but that might have been raised.
The Navy's 35 right now.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. And you better get in while you can.
While you can. Yeah. Because if they'll make stipulation, they're already making certain stipulations. So join while you can.
Absolutely.
But yes, so how was your time at the White House?
It was awesome. It was awesome. Like, I think the thing that really sticks out to me is the little kids when they used to walk and they would be on field trips and I had a badge and I could go in and I could just swipe my badge and go through the gates of, the old executive building or the East Wing and hear them say, oh my God, he going in the White House. And to be a black face,
yes,
was like, I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I had some cool moments there. I got a chance to meet everybody in that administration. Actually ended up kicking Barney, which is the president's dog, one morning. It was, I know. It wasn't intentional. But that's like,
kicked him.
I did. So I was working, like one morning they had called me and I got to work early and they were like, yo, we need you to go into the East Wing and do something. So I went in and I'm doing something on the computers and, you get something by your foot and you're like, what the what? And
you didn't kick these people, dog.
And I ended up kicking and it was Barney, the dog. So yeah.
You ain't had your steel songs on, did you?
No. I had some Ferragamos and a custom seat. And I did not want him to chew off my cuffs on my custom seat and my Ferragamo.
Okay, listen, because we don't want the Secret Service hitting you up. Yeah, we saw your interview.
So that was,
a couple years back.
That was, and so that day, like, I just knew I was going to get fired because I was like, oh my God, they got cameras everywhere. And luckily, it was no one. Yeah, it was just me and Barney in that office that day.
That is hilarious. Walk us through the birth of Black Vets.
Yeah,
How did this beautiful brand that celebrates Black veterans and their accomplishments, how did this even come to be? And I want to throw in a second question because you mentioned means to an end, and that is a slogan. I live by that. What is Black Vets means to an end? What is the mean to an end for Black Vets? So, yeah.
that's a great question. So came up with Black Bat about 4 or 5 years ago, and I just kind of sat, and I sat on it because I was stuck on the fact that I wanted to use, did I want to use veteran or did I want to use vet? Because I wanted to, and it's like little dumb stuff now when I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was stuck on the word black, and I was like, oh my God, if I do black, then I'm gonna do. And so it was just all of these different things that were just in my mind. Nobody's going and nobody's going. And then I started reading a book that talked about what was it, 6 months or 12 months to a million, and it talked about validating your ideas and so forth and so. And so that's what I did. I validated the idea with like 100 people. They were all veterans and really close family, and I think we sold 40 shirts in that initial launch. And I was like, I think we got something here.
Yeah.
And
People will
that
buy
was
this.
that was the catalyst that kind of did it. And so that was initially starting, but you know, all of the experiences of being black in America, being followed while black, being walked in the mall while black. I was showing my brother a friend of mine's house one day that used to live in a neighborhood. We had just finished paying a bill and we got stopped by police um, by just being suspicious. All of these experiences kind of came to mind also, and I compared them to the times when I was in uniform. And when I was in uniform, it was thank you for your service, Mr. Air Force man or Mr. Army man. Even I was,
Everybody thank you in the Army.
it was walking through BWI and having people clap, going and coming. It was being overseas and seeing Americans at the embassy. Thank you so much for what you do. It was those feelings of nationalism or feeling as if I had done something bigger than myself that really helped to like be able to compare those two. And then I started thinking about if I'm going through this, I know that other black veterans probably are going through this and feeling this as well. And then I started, I love history. And so I started, just tying little pieces here. Wait a minute, Crispus Attucks here, and Harlem Hellfighters here, and Lawrence this. And like, so I'm throwing all of these stories and I'm not seeing anybody talk about anything. And I was like, you know what? Let's start a brand that not only has that same like nationalism, that black national, that same pride, that same feelings that we have when we're in uniform, but also let's celebrate our service because I don't think that people realize what we really did and the lineage of who all were before us for what we did.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I came up with Black Vet, and so far I can't keep them on the show. Like, like I am truly blessed. It has been something that has resonated with people. I got a letter the other day, my email, and these are things that I didn't even think of, like just receiving feedback from people of a young lady who purchased it for her father, and she talked about how he cried
Yeah.
when he saw it, and like it's just it's really crazy. I got another one where a friend of the brand, he purchased his in honor of his father who had just passed. And he said whenever he wears it, like he gets the same pride. So it's
Yeah.
like it's like a lot of times we do stuff, but we don't ever really know how impactful it really is.
Yeah.
Um, who it really touches. But that's why I say I'm just extremely grateful. I'm just extremely blessed to be in a space where I can celebrate us um, for what we've been able to do. It's really, really powerful. It's really impactful. It's emotional as I don't know what, because I'm not really an emotional person. Like, we can know how to compartmentalize a lot of stuff.
Yes. This is something you cannot
Like,
compartmentalize.
correct, correct, correct. So, but yeah, I'm just extremely blessed for this opportunity to celebrate all of the things that Black veterans have done. And we have been in every major conflict in America. And we have not just been there, but we have been a lot of times the reason why we went.
Yeah, on the front lines. On the front lines. So it is Black Vets is truly bigger than you.
It really is. It really is.
You've created something that is going to outlive you.
Absolutely.
Which is so dope. I think that I watched this is what Black Vets reminds me of. So I watched this Instagram reel the other day, learning the history of the DAP. Did you see that?
I did.
Learning the history of the DAP, and that it was a way for Black service members to like let each other know, like, hey, I got your back.
Absolutely.
I got you. While we over here, I got you. That's the camaraderie. That is the heartbeat. That is the feeling behind Black Vets. This is so I'm hosting a Black female service member brunch in March. March is Women's History Month, so I'm hosting a Black female service member brunch for the month. And there I have a guest speaker coming on. She's like a 27-year retired lieutenant commander from the Navy. She works for DAV. And I remember meeting her when I was like an E1. I had a C mom. I came out here to Virginia Beach one time, and she took me over to her house. And I just see these high ranking Black women in regular clothes, kikiing it up. They drinking wine. I'm 19 years old, and I'm just like, I'm in a room with these khakis, with these officers and these high ranking, enlisted personnel. And I just remember feeling like this sense of community. And then when I got to my first duty station, seeing Black women that looked like me, Black women telling me, hey, this is how you play this game. Hey, this is how you get ahead. And the feeling of safety that I felt.
Absolutely.
Or even when I faced discrimination and I faced conflict that I knew it was nothing I could do about, having those women there making me feel like, okay, I know that you're going through this, but you're not alone. We got you. And even if we can't protect you from everything, just know that we're going to go through it with you. And that is what it feels like to be a Black veteran.
Absolutely.
It's like a real dangerous game that I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. We used to call ourselves the Tuskegee Airmen and Basic. It was like 6 of us. And we used to march, and one of the guys was the actual drill, like high school drill instructor. And so we would march to our own cadences, and we would like show marching to church, because on Sunday they let you march by yourself. And so like we would go to church, and we would go to everybody's service so that we could get out the door. But us going at 1 or 2 times, then other people will want to come with us. But now we got the entire squadron wanting to march with us. The Tuskegee Airmen. We start off with 6, and now everybody want to come with us. And then everybody's like, "Oh, do that thing again, Washington. Do that thing again, Washington. Double step." And man, it was just like it. I mean, we own the culture and everything we do. We
everything.
everything.
Even in ranks where we're supposed to be uniform,
Absolutely.
we're just the heartbeat of everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
And that leads me to, my next question. So the veteran community is already sort of like a small community. It's only 1% that joins the military or whatever. And I don't know about you, but I get a lot of pushback on the exclusivity of my brand. I only interview Black veterans.
Same
Interview Black veterans, and I've had other races reach out to me. I've had other minority races reach out to me, like, "Hey,
Nope, I'm right there with you.
I'm sorry,
Black. Yep.
Black.
That is for Black.
And I love the wives and I love the dependents, but it's Black veterans. These are Black veteran interviews. I'm looking for the stories of Black veterans because it's an experience that only we understand. how do you deal with that from veteran organizations, and especially as a business, right? Because as a business, of course, we're doing it with passion and purpose, but it's business. So we're looking for funding, we're looking for sponsorship, we're looking for these different avenues to generate money. How do you deal with that pushback from veterans or veteran organizations, or just any organizations that you are specifically for Black veterans? Everybody love veterans.
Right.
Everybody love veterans, but Black veterans.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's a great question. That's one of the things that I wrestled with when I was starting. But I know my target audience. I know who I want. I know who I target. And those people that I target, they support.
Yeah,
And the doors that we open, I think that we can open up even more doors that we haven't even seen.
yeah,
And we can be an example for other businesses that are solely for Black people.
yeah.
I don't think
Especially
that,
in this climate.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that as long as we can do that, we can become the example for others that they can actually see, and then they can create those same brands. But I don't really worry about it anymore. I don't worry about it anymore. It has been validated, which every day now, every email or every text or a letter that we receive, like it tells me that it's resonating with people. And those are the people that I want. And I'm not saying that, because we have situations where we have, well, my dad is Black and my mom is Black. But that means you're a Black vet.
Yep.
Because if you go back to the one drop rule,
Let's go
you
all the
are
way
a Black
back.
veteran.
You're
Absolutely.
Black.
And so, and I used to have a saying like back in the day, when they start doing the water hose and you get hit, you part of us.
Yep.
So yeah, but we, I don't really worry too much about it. I work with the people that work with us. We give donations to Black veteran businesses or nonprofits. So
Hmm.
if they are a Black person that has been in the service and they're a veteran, like we donate to them. Matter of fact, I'm gonna donate $100 to your brunch. You're welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome. But yeah, we do that for all types of Black veteran-owned businesses because we want to create community. We want to create
Yes.
those. Because I mean, at the end of the day, when I look at people like Laney Smith, at Actively Black, like he's literally like, "Yo, I got investors that say you too Black," and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And he's been a sort of like a mentor without even knowing him
Without even
because
knowing it.
he is sticking to his gun and he is succeeding. And I'm seeing that we are succeeding as well. And so yeah, so we are able to, just like at the end of the day, I think this time is going to create leaders that we didn't even know we had. And it's going to produce things inside of us that we didn't even know that we had as well. So I don't worry about those other people. If they want to work with us, they're going to call and they're going to work with us.
Yeah.
And if we want to work with them, we will work with them. We
Right.
have that power and that option to do so.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
And I love that boldness. And it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to, especially like with now, it's that at first it started off as just like, okay, I want to hear Black stories of Black veterans. But now this is a business. Now I'm trying to grow this brand and expand it because we need it, right? People like us we need this.
Yep.
And so I wrestle like you wrestle with like, should I put Black in my caption? Should I do this? And it's like, stand on that, right?
Yep.
Like you
Absolutely.
have to. You have to be bold. You have to be radical at times because it gives others the permission to do so.
Correct.
Yeah. So, how can veterans, especially Black veterans, of course, support each other more in business and beyond?
The first couple of things is follow like the easy things. Of course, follow and like and comment and all of those things on social media.
Yes,
I think that that's key because, being members of other organizations, like membership and numbers matter.
they do.
They really matter. So, paying dues, all of those things add to the overall membership numbers of organizations. Um, Those things really matter. The second thing is, of course, if you can't do that, which is free, you can also, go support monetary. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you got to buy a t-shirt or a hoodie or sweatshirt or hat, but you can buy a gift card. You can gift it, and I think a lot of, businesses, they have gift cards now, and you can $5, or at the end of the day, you can Venmo $5 or $10 or cash out, $5 or $10 to
Right.
an organization, or $1. If every Black person in America donated $1 to, you and I, like, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think that those are two ways that we can, support each other. Also, like, just get behind it, like it. So I listened to Karen Hunter. She's been like on XM Radio. She's just been an amazing person, and I heard her ever since she started. And one of the things that she talked about being like, when we watch television, just the fact that our TVs are on when a program is on, it's calculated. So programs like your platform, look at it.
Yeah.
And if you're not looking at the entire thing, just continue to let it play.
Let it play. Baby, I will not be upset if you just let me play in the background of your house while you cleaning up, baby.
Absolutely.
You can mute me.
Yeah. Let it just let it play. And I think that we have to do that with our own stuff, because we have a muscle, and that muscle has to be retrained for some of us. And we got to do what we got to do, but support us by any means necessary, because we ain't out here doing it just for ourselves. We are different because we doing this for other people. Yes. We understand that things are bigger than ourselves, and we just the vessels to kind of do it. It was this quote. It was like, yo, you build runways so that other people can take off.
Yeah.
And that's literally what we're doing. This is not about Tavares. This is not about Jailyn. This is about, we're building runways for other people to take off.
Very much so. And if I'm able to do that, I'm cool with that. It is hard being a person that paves the way. Like laying these tracks down, it is hard. But I know that it's going to make it so much easier for future Black veterans that have these ideas. And I know it's going to make it so much easier. Like getting in these rooms, having to bust down these doors, somebody else not going to have to do that.
Absolutely.
Somebody's not going to have to do that. And I'm cool with that. On days where I don't want to do this, it gives me the motivation and the ambition and the strength sometimes and willpower to get up and do this. Like, I know that there is the emails, the messages, the letters that come in like, yo, I really appreciate this. Yo, I didn't even know this was a thing. Yo, thank you for putting this out. I feel seen.
Yeah. Those, they bring you back. They bring you back to reality quick. And they give you back your why. Why did you start? And that's very important. Plus, we also remember that, we were lucky because we had people who actually embraced us and pulled us into their mix, and they mentored us and they helped shape us. So we now are passing the torch to them. Yeah. Or should I say lighting the torch for other people. And yeah, but it is hard. It is hard. That's why I think it's important for all of us to stick together. Yeah. As best as we can. The chaos of community.
Yes, very much so. So, Tavares, tell the people they can reach you at.
Y'all can reach the Black Vet at theblackvet.com. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook at The Black Vet, and you can reach us on TikTok at Black Vet LLC. Somebody took the Black Vet on TikTok, y'all. I tried to have everything uniform. Yeah. But unfortunately, they got me. And I didn't want to put everything up. But
I wouldn't have. And all of those will be linked in the show notes, and they will be linked in all posts that are related to the Black Vet. So this has been another amazing episode of the Six Figure Vet podcast, where we showcase the success stories of Black and brown veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. The Six Figure Vet is out.
Hey y'all, it's a Six Figure Vet here. If you or any other active duty service member or veteran that you know is suffering with suicidal ideation, substance use, or mental health disorders, please tell them to call 988. The number is 988. There are trained crisis responders waiting to take their calls. You don't have to suffer in silence.